Hey, I'm Mark. Get in here. Take a seat. We got to grind. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, criminy sakes. What in the world? Yep, you are a few aces short of a full deck. Hey, close the door. Why? Because I'm a history teacher, and I'm going rogue. It's college application week here at school. Hey, Casey, did you get your applications in? To where? Really? Awesome. High-powered school. You know what the best thing about college is? Rivalries. You can't go to UCLA and not have a righteous hatred of USC. You can't graduate from Michigan without pledging your utter disdain for Ohio State. And you can't go to Texas A&M without hoping for a win, a pummeling of Texas in every game they play. What's that? Texas A&M doesn't play Texas? Why not? Conference realignment. They wanted more money? Well, God knows the $80,000 tuition fees and all that federal money just isn't enough. How long will it be before money ruins the next great rivalry? I know, for the here and now, let's count down the best geographic and historical rivalries ruined by the big money, the blind ambition, and the sheer folly of conference realignment. Let's go rogue. Number 10, Boise State versus Texas Christian, the rivalry that never was. TCU and Boise State met 4 times in the late season games in the first decade of the 2000s. The first time these two schools met was in the 2004 Armed Forces Bowl, where the Broncos beat the Horned Frogs 34-31, setting the stage for a series of battles that were just as hard fought. In the 2008 Poinsettia Bowl, number 11 TCU beat number 9 Boise State 17-16. Boise defeated TCU in the 2010 Fiesta Bowl 17-10. And in 2011, the only year that both teams were in the same conference, TCU won in Boise 36-35. It seemed that Boise State versus Texas Christian would become a yearly deal when the Broncos joined the Mountain West in 2010. Then came conference realignment. Attracted by the big money of a conference championship game, the SEC, the ACC, the Big Ten, the Big XII, and the Pac-10 all looked to expand. TCU joined many of its old rivalries from the state of Texas in the Big XII after that conference lost Nebraska, Missouri, Colorado, and Texas A&M. The Pac-10 poached Utah from the MWC and Colorado from the Big 12. After being snubbed by the Pac-10, a third Mountain West school, BYU, became a football independent. And as the MWC powers left that conference, Boise State found itself as a big fish in a watered-down Mountain West conference without BYU, Utah, or TCU. Boise State, TCU had the opportunity to be a great intersectional rivalry. Considering that the only 4 games between the two, they were everything a rivalry game is supposed to be. 2 of the games were decided by a single point. The third was decided by a field goal. The fourth was decided by a touchdown. In 3 of the 4 games, the lower-ranked team played spoiler to the higher, with TCU taking down the undefeated Broncos in 2008. The 6th-ranked Broncos defeated the 3rd-ranked Horned Frogs in 2010, and in 2011, the only season where they were in the same conference, TCU handed Boise its only loss, denying the Broncos the possibility of a national championship. Bummer. These 2 teams have not met since. Number 9, Maryland versus Virginia. Not the sexiest rivalry on our list, but it is illustrative. The University of Maryland in College Park and the University of Virginia in Charlottesville are 130 miles apart. The Terrapins and the Cavaliers have played 78 football games, most of them as members of the Atlantic Coast Conference, starting in 1957. Maryland leads the series 44-32-2. Then came the big money. In 2013, the Big Ten, seeking the TV revenue in Washington, D.C., poached Maryland from the ACC. Maryland traded the natural and long-standing rivalry with Virginia and the rest of the ACC for the money of the Big Ten. Money fueled by revenue from the largest markets on the East Coast and Midwest, which outdraws the mid-sized markets of the ACC. The Big Ten has tried to manufacture new rivalries between Maryland and Penn State. Every year, the Nittany Lions smoke the Terrapins. Virginia and Maryland have not met since 2013. Number 8, Syracuse versus Georgetown. Georgetown doesn't play football. Football rivalries weren't the only things sacrificed to conference realignment. Another was the rivalries of the old Big East basketball conference, the biggest being Syracuse and Georgetown. In their history, Syracuse and Georgetown met 130 times on the basketball court, with the Orangemen holding a 69-61 edge over the Hoyas. Most of those games were played as members of the Big East Conference. Georgetown won 11 Big East championships. Syracuse won 10. They got 65 NCAA tournament appearances between them. They have each reached 5 Final Fours, and they've each won 1 national championship. Georgetown and Syracuse were not standard basketball games. Games often looked more like a street fight with an orange ball bouncing among the punches. It seemed that fighting was not only tolerated, it was encouraged. Sweep the leg, Johnny. Do you have a problem with that? No, sensei. Syracuse played football as an independent until 1991 when the Big East became a football conference. Along with adding new football-playing members, the conference added more non-football members, creating a 16-team basketball conference. In 2013, noting the awkwardness of the arrangement, Syracuse followed Miami, Virginia Tech, and Boston College to the Atlantic Coast Conference. That same year, Georgetown led the basketball-only schools away from the conference, taking the Big East name with them. This ended the long-standing basketball grudge match between Georgetown and Syracuse. The two schools are trying to continue scheduling each other, but meeting in an out-of-conference game played at the Carrier Dome in December can never have the luster of a Big East tournament final at Madison Square Garden. Number 7, Notre Dame versus Michigan, the oldest rivalry on our list. The Fighting Irish and the Wolverines started their rivalry in 1887 when some Michigan football players taught the game to their childhood friends that were attending Notre Dame. The schools went on to become 2 of the winningest programs in college football history, each with over 900 wins. Each school claims 11 national championships, scores of All-Americans, Heisman Trophy winners, and Hall of Fame coaches. Strange that the two schools with so much history and only 175 miles between them have only met 44 times, with Michigan holding a 25-18-1 advantage. In 1978, the schools negotiated an annual game between the two, with a few exceptions. 20 of those games were decided by single digits, and 1 game ended in a tie. In 1995, Notre Dame's non-football sports joined the Big East Conference with the stipulation that Notre Dame football would remain independent, but schedule 3 Big East Conference opponents each season. This arrangement left plenty of room to continue scheduling Michigan. But as the Big East imploded in 2013, Notre Dame jumped to the Atlantic Coast Conference, who demanded a similar arrangement with Notre Dame scheduling 4 ACC opponents. This left fewer open dates to schedule outside of its long-standing rivals with Navy, Stanford, Purdue, and USC. Notre Dame announced that it had no room to regularly schedule Michigan, and the rivalry was over. They've scheduled random games, but nothing on a regular basis. Number 6, Louisville versus Cincinnati. Since 1929, the Cardinals and Bearcats have played 53 times, with the University of Cincinnati having a series lead 30-22-1. Fraternity members from both schools, 80 miles apart, agreed to award a keg of nails for the winner each year, since the winning players were as tough as a keg of nails. A keg of nails! What an awesome trophy! Michigan and Minnesota play for a little brown jug. Indiana, Purdue play for an old oaken bucket. The keg of nails is second only to the smashed trombone of Cal and Stanford. The band is out on the field! The band is out on the field! No? No smashed trombone? Well, they should. Okay, so in lieu of the smashed trombone, the most awesome of the college trophies is the keg of nails. Cincinnati and Louisville met annually as members of the Missouri Valley Conference in the 1960s, as the Metro Conference in 1975, and in 1995, both schools became founding members of Conference USA. Based on their basketball success, 5 national titles and 108 NCAA tournament wins between them, the schools joined the Big East in 2005. Louisville won the Big East Conference football championship the following year. Cincinnati won in 2008 and 2009, and the two were co-champions in 2011 and 2012. When the Big East imploded in 2013, the football-playing members continued playing in their rebranded American Athletic Conference. The following year, Louisville jumped to the ACC. Cincinnati remained in the AAC, and the rivalry was dissolved. Louisville is still trying to find a rival in the ACC, while Cincinnati has watched its natural rivals, the Ville, Pitt, and West Virginia, take off in different directions. The two schools haven't played football since 2013. Hey, do you agree with the list? Was I right? Hey, keep in mind, this was just 10 through 6. We got 1 through 5 coming up in a later video. Hey, but anyway, let me know in the comments below. More importantly, I hope you learned something about the world you live in. Like and subscribe if you did. And sure, remember to share this with your friends on Facebook or Twitter. Hey, I had fun, but I won't quit my day job. I want to thank my producer, Casey Moulton, and Mr. Brett Allen for letting us use his studio here on the campus of Columbia High School. And remember, when you're wondering why Missouri's playing Vanderbilt this weekend, think of me. I'm Mark Haggard. I'm a history teacher, and I've gone rogue.